What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast episode. Today's going to be a little different, okay? You see me come in to these episodes and you see me online. For those folks that have followed me some period of time, I got high energy. I'm always chipper. I'm always having a great day. You either see me with my son or my wife and we're having a blast and everything's great. Business is well. But you never see, or very rarely do you see me frustrated, aggravated, uninspired. And it's just over the past couple of days, I've been feeling very uninspired. I feel like I'm just like on a treadmill going nowhere. And I have somebody on the show today who has helped hundreds of people like me get through these blocks and to flip their mindset into productivity and a mindset of growth versus feeling like you're in this funk or in this knee-deep mud that you can't get out of. And we got introduced by a friend of ours, Carson Jones. Big shout out to Carson.
He's a stud.
Yeah, I want to introduce to you guys Julian Rosen, and he is a overcomer, coach, and thought leader to some very high level folks, and Carson only sends me the best of the best. So thank you, Julian, for coming on the show today.
I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped. And, Henry and I were just shooting the shit for about 5 minutes before we recorded. And he's like, this is what we need to talk about. And I was like, this is exactly what we need to talk about. And it's really just telling the fucking truth. Like, that's what it is. I went a little Jersey at the end there. The fucking truth. I'm from Ohio, so I'm just cornfields, and so I'll throw a little stank at the end. But yeah, it's just telling the truth, because it's very easy in this world of growth and development and entrepreneurship, whatever your gig is. We hear like, hey, if you want to do something well, you look at the people who are doing it well and you absorb what they're doing well. You mimic it. You make it your own. And yeah, that's how we learn. But that can get dangerous when you open your news feed and it's just everybody looking happy, looking fit, money's flowing. Look at, man, they're on vacation. What am I doing wrong? Right? When we surround ourselves with, I call it like this normalized exceptionalism, right? Like you go online and you see 6-pack abs everywhere. You see people with their boats and their cars everywhere. You see people smiling with their family like there ain't a fucking problem in their life everywhere. And it literally makes you feel like defective. Yeah. What is wrong with me? Why can't I crack this? Why do I feel anxious today? Why do I feel less than today? Yeah. And just like Henry was saying, like, this is a human thing. This is a human thing. And I work with, I work with some high-level 7-figure entrepreneurs who, we think that money makes this shit magically go away. It doesn't. No. Like it doesn't matter how high you climb on the success ladder. If you're carrying around this anxiety, if you're carrying around this inadequacy, this fear, this insecurity, money's not going to fix it. In fact, money's an amplifier. Money's just going to blow it up. Status approval is not going to fix this. This isn't an outside game. This isn't a acquisition game. This is a mindset game. Yeah. And a lot of us think what mindset is motivation, rah. Stay positive. Can you force yourself to stay positive? That's not your fucking mindset. No. Your mindset is actually a deeply held belief system. A deeply held belief system. So you can have all the success and all the nice things in the world, but deeply, if you're holding on to a belief that you're inadequate because, I don't know, when you were 5 years old, someone made you feel small and you repressed it, like that shit will haunt you until you address it. You feel it and you rewire it. So let's work through this live, man. Let's go through what's going on in your world, Henry, and we can actually, like, step by step transform this into something powerful.
Let me give you the real world, like literally today. So every Monday, because I was on daddy duty since Sunday, my wife's in Arizona for work. So she left early on Sunday. So I've been like trying to do as much as I can, you know, work wise. And then come 3:30, I got to pick him up, and it's just work stops at that point because he's my undivided attention. So instead of Monday's team call with the Unique Designz team, it was this morning.
Yeah.
And today's Tuesday, January 14th. So I'm very upset with a lot of things. Okay. A couple of things that I was pissed off about and this happened with my work, not client work, thank God. But I have the team working on some internal projects, right? And they're not checking the work. So I'm having to go back 2 or 3 times and say, oh, it's right on desktop, but it's not right on mobile. Why haven't you checked this? Or, you know, my project manager was supposed to sign one of our designers something for me, and she forgot to add this one link, which was the template, which could literally cut an hour worth of work down, right?
Yeah.
Never sends it. Designer gets it and brings it back. It's all wrong, right? That's number 2. So I know how to work through that. I explained to them where this frustrates me and what we need to do, and that's fine. But here's where I really got frustrated. So I am still attracting clients, or I shouldn't say clients, but I'm still attracting people to my brand that have these big egos, that are very passive aggressive. They're very sarcastic. They want to, they want to dictate what it is that we do. And I don't know how these guys are getting in the door. And the only thing that I could say is, it's you, Henry. You're letting these people in still. Didn't you have a huge episode 2 years ago, which almost shut you down because of one of these people? Right? What are you doing? So here's my solution, right, Julian? I say to my team, I am still too accessible. You can get me on Instagram. You could get me on email. You could get me on phone. And because I want to be so transparent and so authentic, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I owe them that transparency and authenticity. So anybody, you could be from India, that you don't have a business and you're dying to just learn how to grow and build a business. You don't have 2 nickels to rub together. I am still going to respond.
Yeah.
Right? Long story short, I said to myself, we're hitting this point in my growth as an entrepreneur and as the business of where it's getting hard to respond to everybody. Yeah. And that's hurting me inside, because I say to myself, I need to be a little bit more gated, because I'm running out of time.
Yeah.
I don't have enough time. But my fear, Julian, is this. People are going to start to look at me as like a prick because I didn't respond to them.
Yeah.
Or I gave them a short answer and told them to go that way. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And I struggle with this because I say, you have to guard your mind. You have to guard your time as best as you can.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that I'm going to guard it so tightly that I'm going to wind up in like a corner all by myself.
Yeah.
That is a true fear. Honest to God, as crazy as that sounds, that is a true fear of mine, that I'm going to keep myself gated so securely that I'm not going to let anybody.
Yeah. So, dude, right off the bat, you're all, like, if you're listening to this, understand that not a lot of hosts, not a lot of content creators are going to be that straightforward with you. So just know you're in the right place. Do not stop listening to this show. If you haven't left a review yet, 90 seconds, leave this fucking guy a review. He's incredible. But I'm telling you, I've been on a lot of shows, my man, and he's telling you real shit. Everybody, it's very easy to go on your show, pretend everything is fine, and just push out this fluffy message, when in reality, odds are he's telling the truth, because he knows that someone listening needs this too. So I just want to show some gratitude for you just being real, man. So that's amazing. And so there's two things at play here, right? When we grow up, a lot of shit is chosen for us. When we're between the ages of 5 and 15, we're spongy, man. We're just absorbing things, whether we consent to them or not. So it could be through our parents, through school, through any authority figure. It could just be a bully on the schoolyard, right? It could just be a TV show we watched and a guy in a suit looking professional said something. And we're like, that must be the truth. That's just, we're very innocent and trusting, and things just have a front row seat to our subconscious, where our personality is. And so that's what I call the ego, right? It's this conditioned self. So when I say Henry, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to this powerful, limitless being. But Henry, just like me, Julian, we're attached to this mind and body that if we just let them run on autopilot, it's our ego. It's this lower limited self we've been taught that we should be, right? And so our ego has a script of how everything should be. Air quotes, should be. Our ego says everything has to be like this. If it's not like this, shit's going wrong. If shit's going wrong, well, I'm attached to it going right. So if I'm attached to it going right and it's going wrong, I'm attached to it. It just got less valuable. I just got less valuable. And then your body turns on fight or flight, and then shit gets going. Cortisol, epinephrine, all these hormones rise in your body. And before you know it, you're not the real Henry anymore. You're this caveman brained, totally reactive, anger, stress hormone guy. And so the real you, literally the CEO part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, gets unplugged, and we're just left with this reactive caveman or cave person version of ourselves running the show. Doesn't feel good. And our power, our productivity, our clarity, our execution gets scattered. Right? Because our ego said, hey, Henry, today, this is how everything has to go. Everything has to go like this. And then life unfolds differently. And what happens, man? Our ego goes, red alert, we're under attack, go ape shit. That's what happens, right? And so, but I'm here to let you know, man, life unfolds for us. Life unfolds for us. So the shit that didn't go right at exactly the right time, in some way, shape, or form, dude, it had to happen. Maybe it had to happen to teach you this lesson. Life is just that mirror. It's just trying to show us who we're being. That's it. It's not trying to bully us. It's not trying to fuck us. It's not trying to do all these things. And I learned that, like, dude, love my mom to death. She got cancer and passed away in less than 12 months. And I was like, for the longest time, my ego was like, that shouldn't happen, man. You were wrong. Cancer took this from you. It was very egocentric. Oh, woe is me. Woe is me. Why do other guys get their moms? What? Right? And then now looking back on it, I can see that losing her woke me up. It lit this fire under my ass. It actually happened to expand me. And I still love my mom, and I still honor her. And like, this is not saying like I don't honor losing her. I still miss her every day. But even something that gnarly, if I approach it with enough awareness, I can see that it shaped me. It happened for me. Life is happening for me. So I don't say that lightly. And so for you, a lot of this pain and suffering isn't because your life is actually that bad, like you're saying. You got a healthy, beautiful family. You got a business that's growing. You got clients that respect you. I'm having a great time, and I've only known you for 20 minutes, right? Like, there's nothing actually that wrong. But when our ego's in the driver's seat and things don't go according to our ego script, yeah, we freak out. We're just along for the ride at that point. So, and that kind of ties into the second thing too. You don't want to attract these big egocentric guys or women. Yeah. But they keep showing up, and you're making yourself so available because, dude, you just said it right there. There's this fear that if you don't allow you to keep yourself open to everybody, somehow you're going to end up alone. Yeah. Now, that's a very primal fear we all have.
Yeah. And listen, I've never shared this. I don't think I've ever shared it in this way before, but as I think more about this recently, I kind of get an idea of where this is coming from. So let me take you guys back when I was about 13.
We're going deep, baby.
We're going deep. 13, 14 years old, right? Yeah. My parents go through a horrible divorce. I was 10 years old when it started, and it didn't resolve until I was 16.
Jeez.
It was 6 years of just battling back and forth in the courts, and I saw so much shit go down in those 6 years. Like, it was crazy. But so my mom passed away 4 years ago. Almost
Sorry, man.
next month will be a 5-year anniversary, and we never really had a great relationship to get to on the get go. You guys know my story. Well, some of you guys know my story, but my parents tried for 16 years to have a kid, right? They finally figure out what was wrong, and I finally show up and appear. And 10 years after my birth, my mom says, well, I don't want to be a mom anymore. And like just bounces, really. Yeah. Serves my dad papers, and my dad's like, okay, I guess I got to figure this out. So what happens is the courts never assign, the courts put me through some psychological counseling to see where I'm at, and where would I be better off as far as what parent is going to raise me. So it was it was interesting. So my father represented himself. He didn't even have a lawyer. He represented himself in court, and through the counseling, it comes out that I would much rather be fit to have my dad raise me, right? So the judge says, your son said it, he would much rather be with you. So that's going to be my decision, right? So my father raises me to that and gets custody, right? So my mom, so now we have my middle school graduation, we have my high school graduation, we have my college graduation, and we have my master's degree graduation, right? Ask me how many graduations my mother came to.
1, 0, 0?
0.
Yeah.
0. But it was always, yeah, get me a ticket. Yeah, I'll be there. And then I always remembered, like, especially my middle school graduation, like walking to get my diploma, like searching for her, and she's not there.
Yeah.
And I am 39 years old. And I know some of you guys are saying, shut the fuck up already. Like, get over it. That was 30 years ago. But you talk about this primal, this things that are happening and how they stick.
Yeah.
Something tells me that her not showing up to those graduations is making me feel this way today.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's important to understand, especially the people who are saying get over it. Like, you can't, like, because like I said, man, the brain, it plays by its own rules. So we can't willpower this shit away. We can't go earn a bunch of money to go, look, mom, look what I did. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we think we can, but so to your subconscious mind, there is no concept of time, right? It's always the moment of now, which it is, right? But so your subconscious mind, it's still holding on to that pain as if it just happened, because it doesn't give a shit about how many years it was.
Right.
It is still real, right? It is still real. And so for you, right, like the thing we repress shows up. The thing we repress, it just manifests in our life.
Yeah.
Right. And so for you, this, and I hope you don't mind, we're doing this on the, live and on the air, man. This is great shit. But
stuff.
Right. Like you're this repressed feeling of rejection, right? This repressed feeling of, man, if she doesn't choose me, there must be something inherently flawed with me. Mm-hmm. And then guilt and shame roll into this mix too, right? I bet you're very hard on yourself sometimes, right?
Oh, horrible.
Right. So
horrible.
this guilt and shame develop as well. And remember, think about it this way: as a grown-up, there's a doorman sitting in front of your brain, right? And if something comes into your awareness and it's bullshit, the doorman's like, get the fuck out of here, right? But as a kid, there's no doorman. So everything, like I said, everything gets through. So no, there was nothing wrong with you when you were a kid, right? There was nothing to be ashamed of. There was nothing that made you less than. But shit, when you were 10 years old and your brain just connects dots on its own, boom, You felt that, and your subconscious mind is saying, hey, cool, that's who we are. Got it. But like I said, this isn't happening on a conscious level. It's happening on a subconscious level, which is where our personality, our belief systems, our resistance to change is really, really stored, right? And so that's what happens with a lot of us, right? We consume a bunch of information, and we try to just like, it's like our conscious mind doing battle with our conscious mind, and it really doesn't work, right? You can't really like willpower this shit away. So, and the one other thing I want to point out is like, again, this shit was chosen for you. You don't wake up and say, all right, I got this to do today. I got to feed the dog. I got to be super hard on myself. I got to carry around this shame from 30 years. Like, it's not like you're picking out an outfit and consciously choosing this, yet it's like I said, man, it's still showing up, right? It's still showing up. And so for anybody listening as well, if there's a part of your personality that you're like, man, I don't know why I'm so anxious. I don't know why I'm such an overthinker. I don't know why I just grind myself into the ground, and then I'm worn out and I get super reactive, and then I come home and freak out on my family. I'm not choosing this. Like, I get it. You're not. And it's not your fault that it's there, right? A lot of this shit is chosen for us. I work with a lot of like high level guys I was like, hey, like, you're not going to like this, but you didn't choose your personality, bro. And they're like, fuck you, man. I'm like, that's your ego talking. But let's actually see, where did a lot of your personality come from? And it comes from just trying to respond to some of this traumatic shit from the past. And, the trauma doesn't have to be, being abused by your parents. It could be a divorce. It could be getting bullied. It could be anything. But for you, man, like for you specifically, we got to understand, like, you're not actively choosing this. No one is actively choosing to screw themselves over, but it does happen if you never create stillness like this. This conversation is a form of stillness. It could be between you and a coach. It could be with you and a pen and paper. It could be with you and anybody. But creating stillness like this to just make the unconscious conscious, right? Making the unconscious conscious. Yeah, you never chose to feel inadequate. You never chose to feel rejected, but you were made to feel it. And because we're innocent sponges growing up, little Henry was like, yeah, it must be on me. It must be on me. And we carry that shit around. We carry that shit around with us. And like we were talking about earlier, we'll try to work it away. We'll try to make money and push it away. We'll try to distract, numb, whatever. But the only way to make it go away is to, like what we're doing right now, sit with it, make the unconscious conscious. Don't run from this shit. Choose to experience it. Choose to experience it. When you can choose to experience your feelings, you're no longer a victim to them. And then your brain can finally start to let this shit go a little bit.
Yeah. Well, here's what I thought, so as my team is the best because they help me like, I dump on them a lot and then they come back and they sort of decipher it through their lens. And there's 12 people on the team. So it's very dynamic, different personalities from 3 different continents. So like different cultures and everything. So it's a lot of fun. So I have a Serbian woman who's one of my lead designers. I have my Priyanka from India, who's just a sharp as a tack, and Pam from the Philippines, who's awesome and just so like, what's the word? Like, she's been with me for 5 years, so she kind of knows me better than I know myself. She's like knows me like my wife knows me, right? And so like, they give me like the real honest and pure, like non-judgmental response. Like none of these, and this is what I love about my team. They're not afraid of speaking to me. Like they know that there's going to be no repercussion.
Yeah.
Right. Where a lot of times when you're working for someone, you may feel like you can't say something because, right. But they give it to me straight because I like to give it to them straight. And so, what they said was, you're not a bad person, Henry, if you don't want to work with a specific type of person, or you don't want to be as accessible to everybody. Because here's what I said to them. There's people that, we always like kind of like judge each other and like what level they on and how is that compared to the level that I'm on, right? And so I do this constantly. And It's not like I'm poo-pooing those people. I'm actually proud of them. I'm not trying to say like, you're better than me, I hate you, I'm jealous, right? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I know myself, and I know those people. There is no real difference between the two of us other than what we allow into our lives and what we allow to tolerate. Like what we, right? They don't tolerate bullshit. I tolerate bullshit. That's why they're there, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
That is the only difference, in my opinion. So like what I told him this morning was, I know that I can rub shoulders with these people, right? And it's not, and here's me trying to like raise up and like be, so, I don't know. And as I'm saying this to you, I'm hearing it back and I'm saying, this sounds like such bullshit. You should be so happy with just who you are.
Yeah.
And knock it off already. And like, these are constant conversations that I have in my head. So when you were coming on the show today, I'm like, here's a guy that could maybe untangle some of this stuff and kind of shoot me straight.
Yeah.
When it comes
absolutely.
to getting out of your own way.
Yeah, dude, 100%. And yeah, like, back to what we were saying with like, man, when the ego creates a script and shit doesn't match that script, that's where pain and suffering comes from. Right. Because there's going to be problems and obstacles, but problems and obstacles are like weights in the gym. It's like, what's a gym with no weights? It's just an empty fucking room. So like, yeah, that stuff shows up. That's good. Yeah. But the suffering around those things, right? Like the suffering around someone on your team, not copying the template, which would save an hour of work, right? Like that's just a thing. That's just an unfolding of a thing. But the suffering created by it, that's ego, man, right? That's ego. And so for you, and this goes for everybody, this goes for me too. I'm not impervious to any of this shit either, right? Our beliefs drive our behaviors. Our beliefs drive our behaviors. So you are 100% right. The only thing really separating you from some of these other people is they've been able to protect their time, right? Right? Which makes what we protect becomes more valuable, right? So yeah, they've protected their time, therefore their time and energy becomes more valuable. Cool. That's not off limits to you either. That's not being withheld from you either. But there's a belief somewhere. There's a belief somewhere driving your behavior. There's a belief somewhere that is then manifesting as this behavior of, I need to keep my schedule open. I need to talk to everybody or else I'm a bad guy, right? That's just a belief. It's not true. It's not true. Think about this. When we spread ourselves too thin, everything that's an extension of us suffers. So when we spread ourselves too thin, even if it's, oh my gosh, I got to be a good guy. When we spread ourselves too thin, right? What's an extension of you? Your physical health, your mental health, your family, they're an extension of you. Your relationships, your business, that's an extension of you. How you treat others, your interactions, those are an extension of you. So it's so funny how we tell ourselves these stories. And you use the word, we tangle ourselves up. If I don't make myself super available to all of these people, I'm a bad guy. But in reality, when we spread ourselves thin, we diminish our time, energy, and value. Everything that's an extension of us fails as well, or not fails, but suffers, right? Yep. And so we play this mind game when in reality, like, what is real, man? Feel the facts. What is real is, are you highly impacting your clients?
Yes.
Right? Okay, cool. So you're not letting them down. You showing up for your family?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You're not letting them down. At times, do you spread yourself thin by making yourself hyper available?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we can just feel the facts, now would making yourself less hyper available, would that make you a bad person?
When you ask me that in the way that you ask it, it sounds so foolish to say yes, right? Of course not, right?
Yeah.
When we're in it, we're like, oh my God, everyone's going to think that I'm I'm not the real deal because, I preach that, you have to respond to everybody online. Mm-hmm. That's where that comes from. Right. But then, even the bigger guys that I've talked to, they say, Henry, it's nearly impossible to reach out to everybody and respond. Like, that is just something that I've had to say to myself as you're just at that level. It's not going to happen. And that's a good problem. Like, it's not a bad problem. There's people that are dying for attention, that are screaming for attention, that aren't getting it. Here, you're growing nicely and steady, and people actually want to hear what you have to say, and they're reaching out to you because they know that you can help them.
Yeah.
So how would that make you a bad guy? Right? And somebody said something to me yesterday, which kind of kept hitting me. And I got to remind myself every time that I get into these mindsets where you cannot control how someone responds to you.
Yeah.
And that is like I have to constantly remind myself of that, and I shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But when people respond to me or you have no control over that.
Yeah.
So stop making it feel like you do.
Yeah. And I can tell, man, you feel this shit. I can tell just by looking at you and the way your body responds to certain questions and statements, right? Like, boom, this shit is really powerful in you, right? And I get it. Like this call on your heart to serve other people. I get it. That's big. And that's a good thing, right? And that's a good thing. But we also got to, again, we got to feel the facts, because I call it the crystal ball of bullshit, right? Like, if we get lost in our own stuff and our ego takes over, we start to bring out this crystal ball, and it starts to create all these problems we don't even have yet. And then it starts to try to create solutions to problems we don't even have yet. And it starts to assume things and predict things and assume people are thinking certain. It's exhausting. Yeah. It prematurely kills us. It raises our cortisol levels, which causes inflammation, prematurely ages our brain cells. It's like smoking cigarettes, man. And so it serves nobody. It adds no value to anybody, yet we do it. We choose to do it a lot. So when it comes to, because again, the fear of rejection and validation from others, that's a very primal thing. It helped us survive 100,000 years ago. So it's programmed into us. We don't really need it anymore, but it's still there. But think about it, man. Someone's opinion. We have 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day. Someone's opinion, even if it is negative, it's there for a moment and it's gone. Like, think about how your opinions have changed. Like, what you used to think about, vegetarians, or what you used to think about certain foods or social media trends. Like, man, I bet this is a Jersey assumption, but man, like the Ed Hardy thing came in hot, right? In Jersey. And I bet you were like, this shit's dope, right? Opinions change, man. So it's like, we got to risk it. We got to be bigger than that. Like, someone may have a temporary negative opinion of something we're doing, but you're absolutely right. Like, you could do everything right and they could still think negatively of you. Or you can totally have your VA go through and be like, hey, we respect you reaching out. Like, the timing isn't right. Here's a free PDF or something. Yeah. Thank you so much for reaching out. Like, and they could be over the moon about it. Like, you just don't know. Right. You just don't know. Right. But if you're using the crystal ball of bullshit, I guarantee you're going to go through this Hollywood drama in your head that's going to make you the bad guy. And that's where you don't win. Your clients don't win. Your family doesn't win. Your physical health doesn't win. Your mental health doesn't win. Your neurochemistry doesn't win. Yeah. And this shit has ripple effects, right? Yeah. So it's just about slowing it down just a little bit more and saying, all right, I know the crystal ball of bullshit wants to come out. Doesn't add a ton of value for anybody. Right. What is real? Right? What is real? And when you do that, that's a big pattern interrupt, man. That's a big pattern interrupt to some of these old programs you've been running, right? Some of these old programs from your ego, from your past, you disrupt them.
It's interesting.
And then your brain can actually start to, it's called neuroplasticity. Your brain, nothing is set in stone. Your brain can, like a muscle, your brain can grow, evolve, adapt based on how you use it.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of these limiting patterns actually are optional. They're not engraved in your personality until the day you die. So when you up the self-awareness, like we're talking about, a little bit more stillness, a little less crystal ball of bullshit, Now the real you comes back, the real Henry, like I said, this limitless, and we're all fucking limitless. And that's not just like a poster board rah-rah thing. Like I said, I don't want to get too sciencey here, but like quantum physics, evidence-based psychology, epigenetics, all these things are showing us that, like, dude, we create our life, we create our body, we get to choose, neuroplasticity, all of this shit, none of this is set in stone.
Yeah.
And so, but the more we can operate from a place of awareness and less just reactive crystal ball bullshit, now we get to choose more. It's less default. It's more intentional. It's more powerful. It's more creative and constructive and less repetitive, right? Because at a certain level, man, your brain, it just wants to hit copy and paste. Your brain just likes the status quo. Whether it serves you or not, your brain's like, hey, we did this shit last year. We're going to do it this year, right? Like, it's important to know that that's what your brain wants. And it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you defective, but you're shit. You're human. You got to optimize yourself, or else if left to its own devices, it's just going to do what it was designed to do.
So there's a couple of things you said there, and then I want to wrap up, but a couple of things is this whole limitless concept. I'm a true believer of that. I feel like there's nothing that we can't do. Yeah. It's all in the do, right? It sounds like a Mountain Dew commercial, but like, no, you get what I mean? Like, and this is where, like, so I put a tweet out today that said something along the lines of, you're dreaming if you still think if I build it, they will come. And I put, no one's coming. Yeah. You got to go out and get it. I don't know any successful person today that sat back, and this is where I have a little bit of an issue with like the spiritual people and the woo-woo and the manifestation stuff, where like, I'm just going to sit here and think of it and it's going to happen. No, you can sit there and think about how it's going to happen, but then you have to get off your ass and make it happen. Right? Yeah. It's not just going to come to you like a witch, like you're some kind of witch. And like, and that's where like, right? I had to just remind people, and I'm not trying to say, and I'm not like I'm not poo-pooing these people. I'm not. This is my opinion, and I don't give a shit how you take it or not, to be honest with you. But this is where, because I had somebody come to me and say, well, I just need a funnel, and this funnel is going to help me sell online. You're absolutely right. It's going to help you sell online, but it is just the bridge. Yeah. How do you get the person to cross that bridge? Yeah. That's where the real work comes in.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So that's my logic behind the whole, because I'm a huge, Julian, there's things that happen in my life where I have to pinch myself because I'm like, wow, I just thought about that yesterday and bam, it happened. Right. Yeah. So like, I believe in that quantum physics stuff. I do. I really do truly believe in that stuff. There's a world way bigger than what we think. Yeah. But at the end of the day, getting back to that like limitless concept, I am a firm believer in that you can do anything you want. You just have to you got to take the first step.
You got to be an active participant. Yeah. There's a really cool quote. It says like God will provide the ingredients, but you got to cook the meal.
So,
and so,
go ahead. I don't want you to lose your thought.
No, I just wanted to circle back to the beginning, the thing we were saying, right? Like, so there's the script our ego has, and then there's the unfolding that is happening for us, right? And so it doesn't matter if you're on your way to the pros, if you are visualizing it and seeing you walking out of the tunnel and hearing everybody and seeing it, like that shit is on its way to you. It will not be denied to you. But you have to continue to walk that path. Yeah. You have to continue to walk that path, but detach from the ego as much as you can. Just like you and some of those things going wrong this morning. What if that shit had to happen? What if all this shit, the good, the bad, the ugly, is happening for you to get you to that place you're visualizing, right? And it's funny, as you said that, last year I was like, you know what? I want to work where I could see the water. And I always visualize myself looking down to the left and there being water there. And as I'm looking down to the left, there's Lady Bird Lake. And I'm like, holy shit, right? Like, but you're absolutely right, man. Like I had to keep walking. I had to keep cooking with the ingredients. I couldn't just sit there and wait for someone to knock on my door and be like, hey, remember that place you wanted to live at that was right near the water? Here it is. And it's free. Like, no. Like, that wouldn't be any fucking fun anyway.
Wouldn't. No, exactly.
It wouldn't be any fun. It'd be like watching a movie where it's like, hey, here's the main character and everything goes really well for him in the end. It's like, we need a little juice in there. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. And I got this from Charlie Jabley, because I'm a huge fan of him. And Charlie was, Carson was another guy that put me on to Charlie. I don't know if you know Charlie Jabley. Awesome dude. Brain tumor, 305 pounds, freaking makes the brain tumor go away just by thinking it out. And runs does an Ironman in New Zealand. Loses like 100. So great story. But anyway, he talks about how when people want to make massive change in their life, they want to connect with a high frequency. And this is where we get into like physics, I guess, right? But like, so people have to exert X amount of energy for it to feel as if they got value out of it. Right? And this is kind of like what you were saying, right? So there's people that would pay $300 for a pair of shoes, and there'd be people that pay $30 for a pair of shoes, right? The people that expend $300, they're going to value those shoes differently. They're going to treat those shoes differently. There's going to be a completely different attachment to those shoes because they've used a higher energy to obtain those shoes, right? So it's the same thing in life. And this is where I'm like, preaching to myself here. If you really want it, then you have to step up and go and get it. And that requires a higher frequency. So just to wrap all this up in a bow, because, we talked about so many different things. One of the things that I want the audience to hear and sort of take away from this episode is, one, it's okay to get in funks, right? It's okay to not be confident all the time. It's okay to have something happen in your life that you're not happy with. Like, not if your life was happy all day long, 24/7, 365, it would be boring as hell. In my opinion.
It'd be like having your favorite food every meal. You'd be like, it no longer becomes your favorite.
Exactly. So accept that. I think you've hit this home by saying becoming self-aware is real. So I'm hypersensitive to self-awareness. So I know what I want. I know what I need. I just have a hard time saying it out loud or writing it down or putting it out there for it to actually happen. Because once I put it out there, then like I'm following it. I'm doing it. I'm making it happen. Right. For whatever reason, I think you mentioned it before. If you just let your mind go on cruise control, you're done because it's just going to stay safe. And that's, and now I know where these funks come in because I'm not in alignment because I don't like staying safe. I don't like staying comfortable because when you stay comfortable, that's when shit happens. So these are the takeaways that I want to share with you. And I wanted to do this episode sort of a live consultation with Julian because I wanted him to really showcase his expertise. That's part of the show. I want people that come on the show that want to help people and that have an expertise that can really transform people and make people live happier and healthier lives. So I wanted him to come on, kind of share his expertise, but this is real shit that I've been struggling with lately. And the good news is when I talk to colleagues, listen, not every single client that's going to come your way is going to be an A+ client or an A+ prospect. Not every project is going to go exactly the way you want it to. And not every response from somebody is going to be your responsibility. And that's where you have to understand. And this was a really great experience for me. First time I met Julian. So,
Yeah.
you know, he'll be on the show again for sure, if not on other platforms of mine, because I really like what you're saying, dude. And it makes so much sense when you sort of break it down and slow down and ask real questions, because when you asked me these questions, like, oh my God, it's so silly now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not real.
It's not real.
It doesn't make me a bad person. And sometimes you just need somebody to say that to you. Like I had a client one day, she was a little hesitant to move forward with a big investment. Yeah. So she called one of my other clients that she didn't tell me she was going to do it. So my client texts me back, and he was like, I told her to go work. I told her she must work with you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, so anyway, I figured it out. And when I wrote her back and I said, here's 4 more references. You could have just asked me. I would have gave you all the numbers. She says, I just wanted to hear another yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes that's all it is. So Julian, you were just another yes. You were just my yes for the day that I needed to hear to really help me sort of sift through this.
Yeah. Well, the iron sharpens iron, man. And we're not made to do it alone. Like, that's why we're on earth with other people, man. Yeah. We're here to collaborate. We're here to have someone call out our shit. We're here to be held accountable to the person we're becoming when our mind just wants that old shit. Like I said, man, the mind and body play by their own rules.
Right.
And sometimes we need that mediator, that third party to come in and be like, listen, dude, you do have it tangled up.
Yeah.
You're believing the lie. And now you're holding up all these walls. They're optional. Right.
I love that. It's all optional.
Yeah.
It's all optional.
Yeah. Like, you don't need this shit. You don't need to feel like a bad guy. You don't need to keep your calendar open. Like, this is all just a drama your crystal ball created, man. Not real. You're good. Feels good, right?
Yes. Yes. That just set my whole day in a completely different trajectory. And I hope those folks that are watching and listening, it did the same. So, Julian, where can people learn more about you and follow you and perhaps book you?
Yeah, man. So Instagram is where I'm just pumping out the truth, man. So Julian, Julian _fearless life. Just go ahead and follow me. And multiple IGTV episodes a week. If you do, even on my story, I'm doing just daily value, and it's all implementable. It's all like, this ain't just rah-rah stuff. Like, do it today. You'll notice a difference. There's a link to my website in my bio. So if you do want to have a consultation, you want me to come on a show, you just want to jam because you're in pain, like an internal pain that you don't think you can talk about to anybody else. We can talk about transforming that into something powerful. So, Julian _fearless life, hit me up, and it'll be awesome.
Good. Julian, thank you so much for coming on the show. Big shout out to Carson Jones for linking us up. Awesome episode. Hope you guys got some value out of this one. And just to show you guys that Henry doesn't always – every day of Henry's life is not as peachy keen as you may think it is. And even I go through funks and go through, slight depressions and feelings of uninspiration, if that even makes sense. But I always work my way out. And this is something that I heard yesterday on a podcast, and I just want to share with you as we close out. As long as you believe that the world that you live in is never going to let you fail completely, you're going to be okay. Right? I heard this, Charlie said, I know that I've had, this is just a bad day, right? Yeah. But I know that the universe is not going to let me fail.
Yeah.
So I know that I'm okay. I know that I'm in good hands. I know that it's going to be okay.
Takes the pressure off right there, man.
As long as you believe that, there's nothing that could stop you. So I'll leave the episode with that. Have an amazing day, guys, and I'll catch you on the next episode real soon. Take care.